Koumei's release was extremely interesting to say the least. The Warframe community was split on her design in terms of skills and abilities. In my opinion, however, I feel like that Koumei was extremely overhated since her release with the Koumei and the Five Fates update. While some people liked it and others hated it, I personally feel like the label Worst Warframe doesn't fit Koumei. In fact, I feel like that she could be on the same level as most frames that are frequently played today. So in this video, I'm going to give you all a full guide on Koumei as well as show off a personal build that I use for base Steel Path content. Hey, real quick before I start this video, I don't usually make content like this, so if you're honestly enjoying it, then it would be really great if you left a like on this video and maybe even subscribe. It's free and you can unsubscribe later. Alright, thank you. Before we get started, we need to talk about all of Koumei's abilities, starting with her passive, which I honestly think is one of the best passives in the game. Aside from Koumei's 5 die that appear on the screen, her weapons will have the ability to inflict a random status effect on an enemy. This effect will last for 60 seconds and can only affect one weapon at a time. So for example, at the start of the mission, the Koumei's passive would affect her secondary first and her secondary only. After 60 seconds have passed, her passive will now affect her melee. Same with the primary as well. It's really good for mods like Galvanized Shot and Galvanized Amplitude in case you want to stack up more damage per status effect that you have on an enemy. Now moving on to our first ability called Koumei. Koumei will shoot out elemental threads that will deal a random status effect on an enemy that touches it. With the roll of 666, however, she will shoot out the same pattern of threads, only now it will carry every status effect in the game except for Void and Tau. It's worth noting that this ability stacks with enemy level, which is really nice for higher level content. The biggest problem that I see a lot of people have with this ability is its damage. While it can easily deal with lower level enemies, at higher levels, this ability can barely even tickle them. However, this doesn't make the ability useless. Koumei can be really good for status priming. One cast can status prime all enemies in the room, which again can make really good use out of the mods that benefit from status abilities. Now moving on to Koumei's second ability, which is honestly the most controversial in the game, Omakuji. The ability itself sounds simple. On cast, you get a random challenge. Once you complete the challenge, you will receive a random decree. On a roll of 666, you will receive the decree without ever having to do the challenge. Omakuji also has an augment called Omakuji's Fortune, if you kill an enemy with the weapon affected by Koumei's passive, a portion of its cooldown is removed. This ability, in my honest opinion, is bad. Really, really bad. While the ability is the main selling point for Koumei, the challenges are extremely specific for some reason, like kill enemies affected by cold, or kill enemies while wall latched. And even if you take the time to do the challenge, the decree you get is always random. You can't just choose them like in the Very Paradox. So for an example, you would take about 2 minutes to kill enemies that are 10 meters away, only to gain an extra jump. This ability is so disconnected with Koumei's kit that in my build, I just got rid of it entirely and replaced it with Roar, which is a much better ability to work with rather than Omakuji. Now it's time to talk about Koumei's survivability tool, which is Amamori. This is a really unique ability for survivability in my opinion. Koumei will surround herself in charms that will absorb enemy damage and heal Koumei in return. The number of charms is affected by the number that you roll. With a roll of 666, instead of healing, you will gain invincibility for a short time with each charm. I find this to be a unique way to survive with Koumei, and while it's not on the same level as Mesmer Skin, it still is really good for what it provides. Moving on to her final ability, which is Bunraku. This is easily her best ability in her kit by far. What this ability does is you suspend enemies in the air, rendering them immobile. On top of that, the number that you roll is how many status effects that will target the enemy. So for example, if you roll 20, you can inflict 2 heat procs, 10 toxic procs, and 18 electricity procs on one enemy specifically. On a roll of 666, you will inflict even more status effects, and on top of that, Bunraku will extend behind Koumei, hitting enemies behind her. This means even more CC and even more status effects on enemies in general. This is easily the best ability for priming and CC altogether. It's also worth mentioning that this ability ragdolls enemies as well, so this could work really well with Thermal Sunder or Pyrotechnics. Time for the moment that you've all been waiting for, which is the build. And to avoid wasting your time on needless information, here's my build. Now, as for people who would want a breakdown, you can see that I'm using Archon mods instead of Prime mods. This is because since Koumei can inflict status effects, she can benefit from Archon mods. Archon Continuity will boost the duration and will add a corrosive proc for every toxin proc that we do. Archon Stretch will boost the range of our abilities and will help with energy sustain. Archon Vitality will boost our HP while doubling the heat procs that we deal altogether. For strength, we have Augur Secrets and Amar's Hatred. I don't want to use Blind Rage or Transient Fortitude because that would decrease either efficiency or duration. Plus, I only really have the damage mods for Roar anyways. For even more energy sustain, I have Equilibrium and Flow to keep our energy at 100%. Finally, I have Adaptation to help with survivability. For the aura slot, I use Steel Charge just for the capacity. Literally just for the capacity, I just use Steel Charge. For Arcanes, I'm using Arcane Avenger and Arcane Impetus. Arcane Avenger will help boost our crit chance, while Arcane Impetus will boost our ability strength for each status effect affecting the enemy. I don't usually use Exilus mods, but if you want to use an Exilus mod, then you can use either Prime Sure-Footed or Power Drift, whatever fits your fancy. Finally, Archon Shards. I'm running full Aether Shards simply to boost my HP, but you can basically run whatever you want since the build itself can help you with so much. There's a lot of room for utility or what you want to do with the build. So for example, you can add full red shards, or you can add full yellow shards, or full green shards if you ever want to. Whatever fits your fancy, whatever piques your fancy, you can just do that with Koumei. That is going to be it for today's video. Honestly, my point still stands. I don't think that Koumei is one of the worst Warframes to ever exist. She has a lot of good utility and can really play around with status effects when you build her correctly. She just becomes this status effect spreading monster that can just completely shred Steel Path if built correctly. So, if you guys want to see more guides like this in the future, be sure to like and subscribe. You know, it's free. You can unsubscribe later. And thank you guys so much for watching to the end of this video. And I'll see you guys next time.